good morning, good morning. This is Katia Lachey with Let's Talk, and I just wanted to kind of voice my opinion on something. I'm one of those people that, when we go through things, we have moments where we just want to kind of just explain what's going on. We want to talk about it or whatever. Then we have those moments where we want to keep peace and we want to just say, all right, that's okay. We're not worried about it. So my thing today is basically voicing my opinion on how we feel about racism and how we're treated, how different races are treated. And I know people get tired of talking about it, but guess what, y'all? It's a real thing. Unfortunately, it's a real thing. I was just sitting here and I was just scrolling through Facebook and looking at the different things that are going on. There's so much going on in regards to the officers, acting out and taking the use of force policy way out of hand, just way out of hand. And then I came upon so many different videos of how some of the young black kids are being treated versus how the young white kids are being treated. And to be honest, y'all, sometimes I'm just one of those people who like to solve problems. I like to solve problems. So I like to be able to talk things out. It's like, okay, how can we fix this? How can we fix this? But how aggravated, how really aggravated can you get when it comes down to knowing that this is a real problem and knowing this thing is not changing? And as more and more people grow up, you just imagine more and more officers that are like hotheads or racist or whatever. And white people aren't the only people that are racist. People of minority, they're racist too. We can't say that. Unfortunately, white people they've kind of taken the reins and ran with it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's so prominent in their culture to be afraid of black, brown, whatever color you want to call the minority. They're just afraid of us. And I guess people have taught them to be afraid of how we're going to react, how we're going to act, in certain situations or whatever. But sometimes if you actually take the time to get to know people, you will learn something different about the black, brown, or minority. You will learn something different about their race. You would learn something different about the race of the minorities. They're not all like that. Just like all white people are not prejudiced. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like you can't approach a black person all the time thinking that they're going to do something negative or they're going to be violent towards you. And I'm so sick of this. I'm so sick of people treating us as if we're just going to jump on them, especially our black men. I have, my son is 16 now. My oldest son is 16 now. And it scares me to see him walk out the door. I know, I've known since I had him that racism exists. I've known this. But over the years, things have become so chaotic until it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's like, you don't know. It's not if. It's almost like you just don't know. It's the when. It's not if, it's when. Because it's like, I know at some point something's going to happen. I just don't know when. And you pray and you pray and you pray. And then you teach them so many things. Okay, when this situation happens, this is what you do. When this situation happens, this is what you do. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't do this. Don't do that. Guys, and I watch videos and movies and all these different things about how different our black sons are treated as opposed to young white men. It is so unfair. What is going on? Are you serious right now? Are you guys really going to continue to carry this foolishness on when we have to come together in so many other ways? We have other situations, other issues with other countries, wanting to start wars and continue wars and wanting to bomb us for all different types of. We've got other things that we need to focus on. You got this virus around here, and you got to find a cure and vaccines and all these different things. And next thing you know, in these other countries, they're ready. They're ready to jump on us. But here we are with our ignorant selves in the U.S. can't figure out how to come together because of a color. That's the first thing we learned about when we were in kindergarten. Freaking colors. Not one time did I take my white crayon and throw it on the floor and stomp on it. Okay? I was not taught that hatred. So I don't understand what kind of hatred you guys were taught. And I'm not just speaking to all white people. I'm speaking to those people that are ignorant and those people who are racist. That's the people that I'm talking to. Because all white people aren't racist. They're not. And all blacks aren't racist. You got some black racists too. But not all blacks are racist. But it's like, stop being afraid of people because you think they're going to. Look, I know what it is. See, people keep talking about how those 400 years of oppression and all this kind of stuff. So what it is, you think we're on go. You think that every time you approach a black person, they're ready to jump on you because of what your ancestors did to us. Okay. So all of us don't carry that foolishness in our hearts. We know we know about it. We've read about it. We've been taught about it. We've been taunted about it in school. But we don't all carry that foolishness in our hearts. So you can't approach us in that manner. Because believe it or not, we're some of the kindest, some of the most knowledgeable, intelligent. I'm talking about easy to deal with, easygoing people. I remember, and I've also recognized this as being a teacher. I've recognized this in classes too. Let's take a group of black kids that are sitting together over in a corner, and a little white kid go over there and sit with them. Tell me what the response is going to be. Those black kids are going to welcome that white kid in. The only thing that would be a downside is if the white kid starts coming over with this little dap, trying to be like them or whatever. Then they're going to be like, man, what you doing, man? Man, you need to stop that. Okay. But other than that, they're going to be like, hey, man, what's up? Give them dab or whatever, whatever's in their culture. That's what they're going to do. Flip that and let a group of white kids be sitting over in a corner. And the normal situation for a black kid to walk up, depending on how, and it's always like a, you're not sure which way it's going to go. Because depending on how this group of white kids were raised, or at least 3 or 4 of them, because they don't take but one racist to mess up a situation. But it depends on how they were raised. It depends on how the situation is going to go. And more than likely, even if they were raised good, somebody still taught them some foolishness. So the black kid walks over there and he's probably going to be like, they might all get up and walk away, or, the N-word might come out somewhere, or somebody might start a little racist joke. Let me tell you something. I am tired of people with these so-called funny racist jokes. Let me tell you, that junk's not funny. You need to stop it, because this is what makes people act out. This is what makes people, you want to see somebody act violent or act mean or whatever. Start these little so-called not so funny racist jokes. I'm so tired of people thinking that that's the way to get along with black people. That is not the way to get along with us. You don't come up here talking about, I remember some guy was like, I don't even know what the whole joke was. It had something to do with the black man bobbing in the water. You call it a buoy, some bull crap or whatever. And it's like, are you serious right now? So you couldn't tell me some non-biased joke, or you couldn't tell me something that was positive or just have fun. You couldn't do that. You had to come to me with some type of racist, ignorant behind joke. This is how things get started in the black community. I'm just going to tell you, because you just get tired of seeing this foolishness like this. Another thing that, kind of piqued my curiosity is a picture I saw online earlier in regards to this guy. His ankles were kind of swollen or whatever, overshaped, and the comment was kind of like, he'd not passed no PT test or whatever. And that it took me back because I've been a correctional officer before. And I promise you, and you'd like to say, oh, she making that up. But I promise you, I've seen people 200, 400 pounds, white people who you're in BCOT, you're in the training, in the basic training. When did you do a push-up? Huh? When did you run? How far? Who? When was this PT done? Because it wasn't done when I did mine. But yet we're going to BCOT training together. So when you went to training, but yet months down the road, black girl, black guy, overweight, all of a sudden, I didn't pass, because I couldn't do a push-up. Hold up. Donut eating doo-doo over to the left right here. Ain't did no push-ups. How did he get in here? Y'all about the same weight. So I'm just trying to figure out, what is going on with this? This is what people start talking about when they talk about white privilege. Okay? All this stuff, you need to stop it. It doesn't have to exist. You guys are no better than black people. White people are no better than black people. If you stand together and you cut each other, you bleed the same goddamn way. I don't understand it, and I'm sick of it. And all this land of the free, home of the brave, what? What free? And who's brave? Think about that. There's a difference. There's a black and white. Think about who's free and who's brave. That is so sad. And I am just sick of it. Everybody's having a fit about people looting and all these things like that. And then at face value, I was like, okay, you know what? We don't have to act out like this. We don't have to loot. We don't have to burn down buildings. We don't have to do none of this stuff. That's what I'm like, come on, guys. We can figure out another way to handle this. And so, in so many ways, I'm just thinking, this is not the way to handle this. And then you get to thinking about the murders and how people just dog people out. And you think, well, how do people react? What is the action? What action should be taken? So now the question mark is thrown up there, because if you think back, every time white people wanted something from another culture, guess what they did? They burned their stuff down. I'm literally in tears thinking about the number of people that are probably dying right now because of this foolishness, Because, again, I heard a young lady speak, and she said, we learned this from you, and she is so right. I know all white people are not racist. But let me tell you something, guys. If you have a racist grandparent or a racist parent, you young people, you guys need to take the lead. You young white children, you need to take the lead, because you guys have an opportunity to change the way this country is going to be run in the future. You have the opportunity to change this. You do. Because black people are not a valid race. We're not a valid race. We were taught to be violent. And in so many cases, we're still not going to just act out. But it's how you approach us. I watched multiple videos about how these officers, you know what I'm saying? Okay, I was watching a movie the other day. And the young man in the movie, his nephew had to use the restroom. And he was in a long line, and he had to use the bathroom real bad. The guy received a text message or a phone call or something on his phone. He turned his back and answered the phone. Well, the little boy had to use the bathroom really, really bad, so he went into the girl's bathroom right quick. So when the guy turned around, he didn't realize where he'd gone. So he's looking for him. He goes to the men's restroom. He's like, okay, where are you? He's calling his name. Of course, he didn't think to go to the women's restroom, because, okay, he wouldn't do that. He thought he walked away. So he walked around. Anyway, fast forward, it shows the little boy walking around. The police officer notices that he's lost. So he's like, well, what's going on? He's like, I can't find my uncle or cousin or whoever it was. I can't find him because, I got lost or whatever. He was like, okay, well, come over here with me, and then, we'll find him for you or whatever, So I'm thinking, okay, this guy's going to be cool. He's going to make sure he's going to do what the normal police officer is supposed to do, protect and serve, right? So he puts the little boy in the back of the car, and then he calls it in and says, hey, we have a code. He calls the code or whatever for, a little person being lost or whatever. So the guy finally walks up and he's calling his name, and all of a sudden he sees him in the back of the police car, and he calls his name. He said, hey. So the police officer immediately puts his hand on his weapon and then throws his other hand out. It's like, stop right there. I need to see some ID. I'm like, dude, he's calling the boy's name. The first thing you could have done was say, hey, this young man was missing. Do you know this young man? It's how you act. It is how you act with people. You can't immediately assume somebody is a danger. Are you serious? He called the boy's name, so obviously he knows him. Why is your hand on your gun? Why are you asking for identification immediately? Why is your hand on your gun? You're at a freaking park, dude. It's more than likely, nobody has identification at a freaking park. Hopefully they do. Now we know we got to carry everything. We got to carry our whole purses, our whole wallets, our license, registration to the car and everything, because there's this fear of just not trusting us at all. None. Like we're just dumb freaking animals out here just running around butt naked with no thought, no process, no education, just running around here. I mean, y'all treat a dog better than y'all treat black people. And that's not right. You got to figure this thing out. You got to come together, honey. This prejudice era is supposed to have been over a long time ago. We've been eating in restaurants together and using the same restroom for years. We ain't got time for this. You need to stop. The love needs to replenish. It needs to come back. Because we don't have time for this. We just don't. There's no more, nanny in the kitchen, scrubbing the foot. No. None of that. We both standing straight up, working side by side at regular jobs, okay? We don't have time for this. Get over that old school stupid mentality. Let's dance together. Let's play together. Let's work together and fight together. Not against each other. We got a whole virus out here taking people out day by day. You don't know when I'm going to have to pick your behind up off the ground, wipe your face, wipe your mouth, and take care of somebody in your family or whatever the situation is. You don't know. Get over it. It's over with. We're just like you. The only difference is the color of our skin. This racism crap, you better get over it. And stop treating our young people as if they are ignorant and as if they are some type of dogs or something. Stop treating them like that. When you approach these police officers, when you approach a young black man, you treat them the same way you treat that little white kid. Because I am sick of seeing situations where something as simple as, okay, here's another situation. Young man's found, the police officer gets a tip that a young man has, or an adult is selling minors tobacco. Okay, so you roll up and you see the young man, I think it's the little boy is like 13 or 14 years old. You see the young man with something in his hand. So you ask him, what do you have there? So he immediately gets scared and just basically just hands it to you. It's a cigarette. Okay, so what's the first thing you do? Now, I don't know you guys' protocol. I don't know as far as, what all you're supposed to do, what all you're not supposed to do. But I know it's not supposed to end up in no situation where you're darn near tag teaming this boy because of a freaking cigarette. Because the first thing you probably could have done was be like, okay, I need to call your parents or whatever. Or you should have looked for the adult that gave the boy the cigarettes. Now, mind you, this is not crack. This is not a gun. This is not none of that. This is tobacco. This situation ended up being where the little boy gave him tobacco. He had asked for identification. Little boy didn't have identification. Why not? Duh. He's a freaking minor. And the only identification he's probably ever had was his school ID. And none of them really carry that around. So why are you asking a 14-year-old for identification? Okay. So that's the first thing you guys like to do. You like, can I see your ID? He ain't got no freaking ID. He's 14 years old. Where he gonna get an ID from? He ain't even old enough to have a license. Okay? So he doesn't have an ID. So you're probably gonna put in your paperwork that he refused to give you identification. I'm not sure if he tells the guy his actual name or not or whatever. But the first thing I'm thinking is like, okay, so are you gonna ask for like his parents' phone number or something like that, or what? I don't know what else he asked, because that was my biggest problem, because the video didn't show a whole lot. So apparently within the write-up, the officer's statement and the little boy's statement, the officer proceeds to arrest the little boy. So the little boy snatched back and said, "What you arresting me for? I gave you the tobacco. I gave you the cigarettes. What are you arresting me for?" And he's like, "Well, I'm just arresting." He wouldn't tell him what he arrested him for. And he was like, he didn't have to tell him what he was arresting him for. He just arrested him. So he started pulling on his arm, and the little boy snatched back. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out, okay, so what do you expect him to do? You're not telling him that he's under arrest. You're not reading his rights. So you haven't called his parents, because I'm thinking that's what you should have done anyway. Is either call his parents or, whatever. I don't know what the protocols are. But I mean, if you proceed to arrest him, at least read him his rights. So, young man, you're under arrest. We'll take you down to the station. You got to call your parents and let them come get you. But the little boy snatched back because the police officer is not telling him why he's under arrest. I gave you the tobacco. So, in his mind, he's thinking I gave you the tobacco. So anyway, he throws the little boy to the ground, pins his arm back, and the little boy's struggling to snatch his arm away from him. And then the little boy he turns some type of way and then proceeds to get loose. And the police officer takes him by his head, mushes it in the ground, and bends his arm back. And then the little boy gets loose again and kind of turns his body, and he punches him. The police officer just punches him a couple of times, just like left, right, left, right, left. I'm like, are you kidding me? So let's put this situation. Let's turn this situation around to a little white kid, because this is what I've seen as well. Small, simple situation. What you got in your hand there, young man? Oh, I got some tobacco right here, or here you go. Yeah, you're right. Whatever. So the little white boy gives it to the officer. The officer probably says, "Hey man, you're not supposed to have nothing like this. Give me that. Thank you for giving that to me. Get on up out of here. Next time I catch you, I'm gonna call your parents." Situation handled. Gone. Ain't nobody got shot. Ain't nobody got mushed in the face. Ain't nobody got pinned down. Ain't nobody got no knee in their back, neck, head, or nothing. This is what I'm talking about. And this happens all the time. This is not something that I'm making up. This is consistent. This is constant. This is the way you guys handle the difference between handling a black man and handling a white man. It's not fair. And you need to stop it. And you can stop it. It's just funny to you. I've seen videos where white police officers are posted up. You're posted up, posing with your foot on a black man's head or face or neck. What the heck is that? You are so hellbound, it's not funny. And you will receive the payment that you give out to somebody else. You will. It might not be shown right now, but you will. You will, because God don't like ugly. God does not like ugly. You're not going to be able to continue to handle his people. And what I mean by his people is all people. That's what I mean by that. But definitely not black people. You can't treat us that way and think that God is going to sit there and continuously bless you in your life. Yeah, to us, we're infuriated with everything, because, to be honest with you, it feels like nobody's protecting us, to be honest with you. But we pray and we believe in God, and we say, God, we know you got this handled, and we see some changes being made. We do. And then all of a sudden, here comes Mr. Jack Flash with his little ignorance and starting up a whole nother revolution. So, I know it's never, it's never going to be a time where it's just completely over, because you're going to always have one ignorant somebody. And what I'm afraid of is this is going to continue. And see, and I'm not in an area where the violence is so high. You know, you got some areas in some states where little black men stay on go. To be honest with you, the Latinos and the Native Americans and some of the other cultures don't have to worry about the things that blacks have to worry about. So you got young men just on go, just staying on go, scared of what's going to happen to them. You got people being pulled over, scared of what's going to happen to them. But on the other side of that, you actually have good cops that are afraid of what's going to happen to them approaching the vehicle because the person in the vehicle is afraid. So it's like two people scared of each other. Nobody knows what to do. So now you're acting out. You're supposed to protect and serve. You're acting out because you're not sure of what a person. So treat that person just like a white person. You treat that person in that car like you just stopped a white person.
You treat everybody the same. That's one thing I learned about when I became a correction officer. No matter what the charge was of those offenders, we had to consider that they were pretty much all the same and just learn how to manage them.
From theft to murder, we have to treat them as if there may be a threat. We have to approach them the same way. We're taught about use of forces, how to handle people, effective communication. We're taught these different things. So you have to utilize that when you pull somebody over. You treat everybody the same. If you're going to treat us like there's going to be a threat, God darn it, treat the right people like there's going to be a threat. If you're going to approach us with your hand on your gun, then you approach everybody with your hand on your gun. But as soon as you see who it is, how you going to act then? You going to take your hand off your gun when it's just a white person? Or you going to keep your hand on your gun when it's a black person? Stop it. Figure it out.
And treat them the same.
And you treat everybody the same and you won't have this issue. So anyway, I'm just praying for our nation because this is a sad time. And I'm so glad I wasn't in a time where my ancestors were literally just snatched and beaten. And, you know, I know it was 10 to 20, 1,000 times worse back then. I know it was. And I'm so glad we're not in that time. So I know that we have graduated some, but it's like, people, stop it. Stop it. Bleed it out, weed it out, get it out of there. We have to put so much love in the hearts of our brothers and sisters in this country, white, black, and any other color. We have to instill so much love in them till hatred is bled completely out of our systems, out of our minds, out of our blood streams, out of everything. Spread the love. Stop the hate. This is Katia Lachey with Let's Talk.
Yeah, come on.